It's important mostly that we do something. You know, that everybody does something, because if everybody does something, we can change the world.
Recorded at Amplified Studio in downtown Des Moines, Give and Grow is more than a podcast. It's a commitment to our community. Founded by Andy and Sarah Suzanen alongside the RIA Group, this initiative is dedicated to uplifting the organizations and individuals who work every day to make Central Iowa a better place for all. Welcome to the Give and Grow podcast, where we share the stories of the nonprofits transforming lives in our community. Each organization is featured in 3 episodes, offering a deeper, more personal look at their impact. Through conversations with passionate staff, generous donors, and the very people whose lives have been changed by their work, our hope is simple: to connect, inspire, and strengthen the bonds that make our community thrive.
Well, we are pleased to present the second podcast episode featuring Oakridge Neighborhood, which is located at the north side of downtown. So they not only serve the hundreds of children and families through their affordable housing complex, but hundreds more in Greater Des Moines who have access to their social services and programs. Mm-hmm. Writer, author, and Oakridge volunteer extraordinaire is here with us today. Carol Bodensteiner, welcome. We will learn the many, many ways in which Carol dedicates her time to improving the lives of refugees and immigrants. So Carol's an active board member, a donor, a volunteer. And let me just read a little bit from her website, the bio. So Carol is a writer who's inspired by the people, places, and culture and history of the Midwest. Her books include Stitched Through Time, the story of Libby Jensen's quilts, about the journey of Carol's family heirloom quilts that spans hopes and dreams lost, reconciliation, redemption over 5 generations. Another is Go Away Home, a coming-of-age novel set in World War I era Iowa, exploring the enduring themes of family, friendship, love, and loss. So I was reading through your bio and all your books, which is exciting to have under your belt. Mm-hmm. And the topics made it clear that you value the impact of storytelling and sharing experiences and insights throughout life's journey. I noticed one other book called Simple Truth, where the protagonist lands her dream job. It's a historical novel?
It's contemporary.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And but then she finds a client maybe exploiting immigrant employees. So I was curious how your volunteerism have influenced your writing or vice versa. Can you tell us more about that particular story and how you got interested in advocating for immigrants and refugees?
Thank you for having me here, Siobhan.
Of course.
It's a pleasure to join you and to be part of your first podcast. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
I do love telling stories. That is a lot of fun for me. But the novels and my nonfiction came after the volunteering. Volunteering really was something that was, the seeds were planted when I was a child. My parents were very involved in the church, the community, civic organizations, and if there was a need, they stepped up. They were going to be involved. So they were modeling volunteering and giving back and paying it forward and just all of those sorts of things. So I have throughout my life been interested in volunteering. And so then things began to come together. I became a board member at Oakridge and became more aware of the immigrant and refugee problem. So things sort of started to intertwine, I guess I would say. And so Simple Truth was my last novel, and it really was an opportunity to explore some issues that I'd been puzzling about myself. You know, essentially how much would you give up to help someone else? What would you risk? What would you sacrifice to help someone else? So that novel gets into exploring that a little bit through the characters' experiences.
Well, that sounds fantastic and really timely as well.
more timely than I knew when I was writing it.
Yes, I can imagine. These days have been very interesting to navigate in regards to poverty, immigration, and such, and that, Oakridge is right at the forefront of both those topics. And so I'm really glad that we have a chance to talk more about all the services that are happening there. So you are also teach at Oakridge, and you're a book buddy. I want to hear more about that, and you serve on committees. So my next question is, how did Oakridge manage to achieve such a high level of engagement from you? And then what advice might you have for other nonprofits that want to clone you?
It was a little bit at a time. I've always been interested in children and education, and my undergraduate degree was in speech and English education. So I had the intent at one point in my life to be a classroom teacher, and life took me in other directions. But teaching happens in a lot of environments all the time. So I never did get very far away from it. But I started out as a board member. I wasn't aware of Oakridge, really, before I became a board member there. But a friend of mine had been actively involved with Oakridge as a board member and a number of other things. And she said, this is something you might be interested in. So I had conversation with Terry Caldwell Johnson and my friend, and it did seem like something I'd be interested in. So for a number of years, I was a board member. But one of the things that I've always appreciated about Oakridge is that board members are not just names on a list. Mm-hmm. Board members are actively engaged for their expertise, for their interest, for their connections in the community. So right along, I was learning a lot. And Oakridge is a very complex organization. There are a lot of things going on there all the time, a lot of different programs. So it takes a while to really get to know what Oakridge is all about. But after a few years, I decided that I really wanted to have more face time. I wanted to actually get to know the people who were using the services Oakridge offers. And so that led to Book Buddies. And, there really is hardly a happier way to start your day than reading to a 4-year-old.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And our goal at Oak Academy and with the program, actually Book Buddies is a United Way program.
Okay.
And so it goes on in a number of locations, Oakridge being one of them. But the goal is to have those children who are from low-income families and often families that don't speak English as the first language in their home, to have them be school-ready when they hit kindergarten. So this is not a small effort. This is a big effort to get kids reading and in English.
Yeah, it makes such a difference to their long-term success
in school. It absolutely does. So then when the Afghan refugee crisis came up in the news.
And when was that?
3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago. I thought, I have to do something about this. I have to do something. And so I was searching around, and Oakridge was my answer because we have ELL classes, ESL classes at Oakridge for adults. Mm-hmm. And so I...
And that's English language learner.
English language learners. And this was an interesting distinction, just a little diversion here.
Yeah.
We think of English being taught as a second language because frequently we in the United States, we only have English and then we learn maybe one other language.
Right.
But many of the people who are coming into Oakridge from other countries know multiple languages already. So English is yet another language. So English language learners is how we describe them. But, my students in my class could be people who had never been in a classroom in their life before.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
And are illiterate in their own language. Or they could be people who have college degrees in the country that they came from, and they need to develop confidence in their English ability. So there's a wide range of students who are coming through the English classes.
Well, that's great that you're able to help. It would be intimidating to me to be in front of people that needed different things at different times and wanting to do
it's a balancing
my
act.
best.
It's a balancing
Yeah.
act to manage
Yeah.
individuals of that broad range in the same classroom, but it's also tremendously rewarding. And so, and then, everything, it's kind of a good confluence for me of being a volunteer with Oakridge, because I'm at this stage in my life and my career where I have time, I have expertise, I have financial resources that I can bring to bear. So it didn't all happen at once. So I think when boards think about, or when organizations think about building their board and building their volunteers, I think there's some things to learn here.
Yeah.
And one is the organization shouldn't expect just a name on the list.
Absolutely.
They should be finding people who have skills that they bring to that organization that will be useful to the organization and can make the person feel immediately valuable. Mm-hmm. They should be looking for opportunities to get their board members with face time with the mission. So
Yes.
what are we doing? Who are we impacting here? And making it so they get it in their heart, which is, I guess, where I am with Oakridge. It's all in my heart.
Yeah, it's really clear. How did they suggest because I know organizations, I think, struggle with that engagement aspect. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, Oakridge has a lot of opportunity for engagement. Is there, a volunteer coordinator, or is it talked about in the board meetings about engagement opportunities?
Well, we have in every board meeting a mission moment where one of the board members talks about how they came to this organization, what their experience was. So it gets talked about. It's not as though we say, well, we do from time to time say, okay, we have Halloween on the Hill, we have night out, and we need volunteers. We need people who could spend time, but also we need people who could bring cases of water, could get what are those frozen pops?
Right.
The
popsicles. Yeah,
the popsicles that would be used at events.
Not afraid to go in and do the work that's needed, no matter what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are clothing drives. There's always a need for food. So there's lots of opportunities. There's a Girl Scout groups. There's just opportunities all over the place to get involved. And I think people do what they can do at the time that they can do it. So sometimes it's time, sometimes it's money, sometimes I can only be at the board meeting.
Yeah. Well, they're very lucky to have somebody that is engaged in such a high level.
I feel lucky.
Isn't that great?
to be volunteering there.
Oh, great point. I love that. And turning to fundraising work, which is pretty arduous. Des Moines is fortunate to have such a generous community. I love that it has deep pockets and really show up in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I have sensed that landscape is changing for many different reasons. I'm curious your perspective on it, because one thing that I'm curious about is how does nonprofits engage younger donors? Mm-hmm. Because there needs to be that cultivation, it seems, more so. What insights might you have about how we make sure Oakridge is stable for generations to come?
That is a top of mind subject for sure.
Yes. Do you have the magic answer?
No magic answer, but we are aware that we're fortunate in some ways. The young people, the millennials, the Gen Z audience are generally interested in social justice. They're interested in housing. They're interested in education. So we're in a good place because their interest aligns with our interest, which is what any organization wants to have.
Yes.
So the people that you're trying to engage with also care about the issues that you're facing. So that's number one.
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's a good connection that we have. We recognize that we need to have multiple opportunities. I was discussing some of those
right.
for people to be engaged, but young people, we have fun events, but we're looking at young professionals and the younger audience. They need to have us meet them where they are. So Venmo, PayPal as donation options, as opposed to write a check. What? Check?
Yeah, you need to make it really easy. Who carries a check anymore?
Yeah. Who carries a check anymore? So it's got to be easy. They're also looking for results. They're if they're going to be involved in something, they want to know what the results are, what they're getting, what's happening with the money that they give. So we do a lot of data gathering, and it's part of, some of it is part of the grants. It's some of it is just the way we work, is to figure out who we're serving, how many are participating in any program. So we get a lot of results, and then we turn around and make sure that we're feeding those results back to people that we're connected with or that we want to connect with. So it could be on social media. We do a lot of work on social media, telling the stories, telling the results, making it visual storytelling, so social media opportunities. So we're very
I've noticed that
to how this younger person is wanting to get information and what kind of information they're wanting to get. So there's another thing. I just have to tell you one more thing.
Absolutely, of course.
We're in the process of launching what we are calling the Acorn Society. And so this is a group, sort of a junior board sort of organization or group that will come together for professional development, for community building, to get more aware of and involved with Oakridge, and hopefully for the long term. So we're looking at that. But the young people are one audience that we need to engage, but we also need to make sure our long-term supporters are well connected, that we're searching out every grant opportunity. It's, as you mentioned, just a multifaceted, very ongoing. Everyone has to do it, and at Oakridge, we're really trying to be on it.
Yes. Yeah, it's essential and more, and diversifying funding streams certainly helps to safeguard some stability. And I do love how Oakridge really communicates their successes and challenges out into the world, and visually the photography that they do, I love, because
it's beautiful.
It really allows you to really see who they serve and feel like you know them, which is pretty special.
Yeah.
I love that it's also, right downtown and just very part of the fabric of our community and not on the outskirts of our community. Yeah. So I want to hear stories from you next. I really love the mantra that Oakridge uses, that it's where children achieve, families thrive, and prosperity is created.
Yes.
So can you tell us a story or two where you've seen that through your experience at Oakridge live out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
One that comes to mind is from my ELL class. A woman who I met the first day I was in class, the first day I took this class, she told me in halting English that the reason she was taking these classes was because her children were laughing at her when she spoke wrong, when she didn't have the grammar right.
Okay.
And I so admire the students who come to the class because they're working jobs. They're taking care of the house. They're trying to navigate the healthcare system. I mean, the idea of what it takes to live and get along in our country, it's overwhelming to me to think about it from their perspective. So anyway, she was there because she wanted to be able to learn English and use it well enough. So anyway, we just dove in, and about 8 months later, she came to class one day and she was beaming. She had to make a doctor's appointment, and her daughter, who spoke English, because they're in class 8 hours a day and because they're speaking it all the time, usually made the doctor's appointments.
That's understandable, yes.
Well, the daughter was either not able or not willing, whatever, to make that appointment, but she needed the appointment. And so she screwed up her courage, and she was showing me with her hands the phone. She said, I called and they asked what my name was, and I spelled it for them, and they asked for my phone number, and I gave it to them, and they asked, what do you need? And she said, I need to see a doctor. She took all the questions, and there are a lot of questions that they ask when you call to make an appointment. And she was able to answer them all. And she was so proud, and we were so proud of her. And it was an applause
I love
situation. So that is the kind of thing that we're working for, because
empowerment and confidence.
The people we work with are so determined to live life here, be successful here. And English is a huge part of that. They know they need to learn English. They know this. But it's not easy for adults to pick up another language.
I can't imagine.
And so, that was a story.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. So one thing I was wondering while you were speaking about how you came to be such a great volunteer and engaged, do you have kids? Are they learning from you to do the same?
Yes, I'm pleased to say. I have a son and I have 4 grandchildren. And one of my granddaughters is volunteering at the Ronald McDonald House.
That's nearby Oakridge, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she volunteers there.
Excellent.
Her mother also volunteers at the Jordan House. My son, and this goes into the category of doing what you do because you have time or because you can take the time. He's a blood donor. I've been a blood donor for like my whole life. But that's something that can, because they bring the blood banks right to your workplace.
Oh, right. Yes, they make it easy.
They make it easy.
Yep.
So, yeah, they are.
All
they
right.
are.
Excellent. Well, congratulations.
Thank
nice
you.
work.
Thank you.
So I'm curious what you'd say, like, how do you start donating? How do you have confidence in where you start doing it? And
I would say, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. And particularly when we're talking about the younger audience of donors who are still getting their feet on the ground. They might have a young family. They're getting themselves established. I would say sometimes that donating money is the easiest thing you can do. When I was working full-time and I was on the road a lot and I just worked all the time, checkbook volunteering was the way I could be engaged. I knew I wanted to volunteer, but spending the time I do now, that was not going to be in the cards. But I think sometimes people think that if they can't write the big check, that it's not necessary. But small donations are equally as important. It's small amounts of money given by a lot of people, we can change everything.
Absolutely. And then when you have that connection, you pay attention more to those topics.
You do pay attention, but I also would say there are lots of ways to volunteer. We need a lot of things. Yes, of course we need cash. Of course we do. But we also need the people who are donating gently used clothes to our clothes closet. We need people who, I think about my garden, which overproduces every summer, and so I can take bags of tomatoes, bags of peppers, bags of zucchini in, because
that's fantastic.
Fresh food is amazing. So there are a lot of things that people can do, but I think it's important mostly that we do something. That everybody does something, because if everybody does something, we can change the world.
Yes, absolutely. I love that thought, and I think it's very true. And it tied into the question I had about what can people do? What's simple steps? And I do think, meeting people where they're at and being able to have, I think Oakridge is interesting in the fact that they have the ability to take all those volunteer and contributions and make them into something and make them work for their community.
Right.
It's so hands-on and so immediate that you get the clear understanding of where your support is going.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think something I would also add is that, Oakridge, the programs that we do serve the people who live at Oakridge, but they serve whoever comes in the door. So we have 60%, I think, of the people who use our services are from the surrounding community.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's impressive, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think of Oakridge Neighborhood as the apartment complex, and that's who's there and who is served. But Oakridge serves such a greater number than what's just on campus.
Right. We have programs that really are appealing to a lot of people. Many of the people coming into my class now are not residents of Oakridge. They've come from other countries, but people hear about the services. So do you need to have your resume put together? Do you need to learn how to drive? Do you need help figuring out how to interview? Can we help you find a job?
Taking care of that whole person is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm also like to repeat the fact that over 50% are under 18.
Yes.
That's pretty significant when you think about the children served.
Right. We have in-school and out-of-school programs. So we're right next door to Edmonds Elementary. And our staff, Edmonds is, and then also Callanan is just a few blocks from us. So we have our staff who are in the halls working with the teachers, making sure that the kids are doing what they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to be. And then when they get back to campus, to Oakridge campus, they need to finish their math. They need to finish their reading, and all of those things have to be finished before they can use the recreational facilities that are there. So we're making sure that the kids have a plan and that they're working towards success.
Yeah, it seems like such a great community within a community. So I'm grateful for you and your volunteerism and Oakridge for what they're doing. Anything else you want to say? What you want listeners to know about you or Oakridge?
Well, I should have anticipated that.
Sorry. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. I think I would encourage people to try out volunteering. I think if people would, if they don't know where to start, I would say talk to your friends.
Yes.
See what they're doing. Maybe you'll find something, as I did with my friend. I found Oakridge because of a friend.
Yeah, your network.
Yeah. And then if you are still looking, I would say go to the United Way of Central Iowa site. They have all the volunteer opportunities that are available right now.
On their website.
That's
great.
On their website. And it could be something just like writing notes to people, or it could be preparing taxes, or it could be Book Buddy, read to a 4-year-old.
I know what the impact that a good volunteer has on an organization. It's a godsend because it takes so much time to do all this work.
It does.
I mean, to fundraise, it takes a lot of time. If you can imagine, you're fundraising to fundraise sometimes.
Fundraising and friend-raising.
Yes, yeah.
They work together.
So if I was interested in volunteering, would I just go to the Oakridge Neighborhood website? Can I go to the offices in person?
There is on the website. You can. There's a donate button, so that will take you through the financial donation part. But calling in, you would talk with Sherry, who seems to be our volunteer coordinator. I don't know if we have an official person who's named that, but she is sort of a central clearing point.
Excellent.
Because then she would be able to find out what you were interested in, and she would also know what opportunities were available. But
excellent. Well, we'll be sure to list the links and the phone numbers on our website.
That would be great.
giveandgrowdsm.com. Thank you, Carol, for joining us. It's so nice
Siobhan,
to meet you and get to know you.
Thank you. This was wonderful, and we're excited to be your first podcast.
Yes, me too. Thanks again.
If this episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to join us in making a difference. Follow Give and Grow on your favorite podcast platform and visit giveandgrowdsm.com for episode recaps, nonprofit spotlights, and ways to get involved. Because when we lift each other up, we all grow together.